Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're here to talk about the final part of Attack on Titan, no take backs. and as always, I have here with me Ramon
Hey guys.
and Ro.
Howdy, howdy.
And dude, I hate it, but it's the end of an era. I still can't believe this show's over, even though I read the manga and I knew exactly how things were gonna happen. I was still very affected by this ending that we got. But you guys did not know what was going to happen, so I'm very eager to hear your thoughts on it. Ramon, what did you think about the finale of Attack on Titan?
It's finally over. No, I'm kidding. No. I mean, I did have a little bit of a spoiler to the whole idea of like Eren getting decapitated. I don't think I knew by who, so at least that was one thing that was like huge. But man, like yeah, this is the anime that you recommended to me that I like kind of got the most attached to, I think. And this is kind of like spiraled for me, just a whole new interest of like the form of anime, and but just this one specifically, man, it was so good. So good. And I think, to be able to join you guys on this journey and get to this point and just kind of see everything that was Attack on Titan, this episode was just like the perfect like culmination of everything. Like we had like great fights, we had very emotional moments, and then of course the very, very, very sad truth of just humanity and their stupidity. So I don't know, man. I can't beat it. I'm excited for this one too, just because again, lots of stuff behind it to unpack.
Yeah, and I mean, we watched this together, so I think we all kind of have a sense of, that obviously we liked it. Ro, I think you got very emotional. You definitely liked the subline.
Dude, he was crying on my shoulder. I'm like, Raul, get the frick off.
Your jacket was more absorbent.
Dead tissues.
Better. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Ro, I know you're a big you don't like to read the manga. You will never read a manga. You go as far as like pretending like you can't even read just so that people don't try to like send you stuff. But what did you think, man? Did it deliver? I'm excited to hear about it.
Is reading that thing that you do with those things on the paper? Those markings?
Little squiggly marks, man.
Okay. With the picture sometimes?
The picture sometimes.
The picture book.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love the show a lot. It's I think it's amazing. I love so much about it. And this final finale is kind of like bittersweet because it was an amazing series, amazing anime, and then it's sad that it's over, but it's I like kind of the somewhat redeeming aspect that they did with Eren, but I don't know, I love how they did it and how they explained how messed up war is, and that really no side is ever really right. It's just it just sucks for everyone all the time. Every way.
Dude, it's crazy because I mean, like, sadly, at this time in the world, like, there's a lot of conflict going on. So it's just kind of crazy that, here we get a show that's been the message, the message throughout the whole thing. It's been like war is kind of crazy. And at the end of the day, people are just fighting people. We all bleed red. And for me, this is going to be very hard to talk about this without trying to like bring into the whole history from the beginning, because obviously we're here to focus just on this very last episode. But man, the shadowing that this show did, man, like the stuff, the twist. It's just there's been so many twists, so many things from when I remember when the show first started to what it became. Like never in 1,000 years could I have guessed that a manga could have had these many layers to it. I always talk about like how Naruto sort of impresses me with a lot of its twists, but I think Attack on Titan just did it in a different way, man, with its character. I'll never forget the first time I saw Zeke, and I was like, why the hell is there a giant, like, gorilla orangutan dude, like, walking around at night?
Throwing a horse.
But yeah, man, like, it's going to be very hard for me to probably not try to cry during this show, this recording, just because we watched it. I've been thinking about it. I just rewatched it again. I've been crazy watching like a lot of TikTok videos on it, and it's something that no matter how much I like something, I never really go out of my way to like even start looking for more things about it. But for Attack on Titan, I'm like, send me all the TikToks, man. I love all this stuff. I love all those little things that I can catch about how the creator just set up so many things and he sort of delivered on them, man. At least I felt like it delivered. I was never disappointed with the ending, with the manga or with the one we got on the, on this adaptation this last season.
No, and isn't it funny? Like, I feel like things that I like and enjoy, like, I will go watch certain YouTubers and now on TikTok, like, different, like, not necessarily reaction videos, but like breakdowns and things like that. And you want to know more. But I don't know if it was just because it was the finale and I've been here for this whole journey that I didn't care about any kind of breakdowns. It was just more about like what we experienced. And then also, especially TikTok is a quick way to get like multiple reactions. I was really enjoying like everybody's like response to it. And I think the whole emotional connection that you kind of build and that we built with the show, it has a lot to say with it. I mean, it's not just grown men in their 30s like getting a little teary-eyed for no reason. Like, this is legitimately an amazing like anime and story overall. And I think, yeah, like I said, if the final episodes weren't so good, I think, like you said, Carlos, like they could have been more disappointment other than like the story, because obviously the manga already wrote it, that was already good, but we've seen it before with even just animation styles and certain things. But no, man, this is just great. Like, and it was pretty great to see it like big TV, nice and loud and rumbly, and just get all the kind of like, the feels for the rumbling going on, like all the death. And even though it was subtle, it was still pretty crazy to see everything that happened in just the last 2 episodes, and then this finale was pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude, and honestly, the studio MAPPA has been killing it this year, because they had the Tekken Titan, they had Villain Saga, they had Chainsaw Man, they had
Jujutsu
like
Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen. They had a lot of like great anime kind of come out, but yeah, like this looked awesome. Like in general, Attack on Titan has looked awesome even with the last studio. And just the concept of this show, like, and the progression of like, because it goes from one type of anime to a different type of anime to a different type of anime, and it just the messages kind of all throughout has been amazing, and then everything kind of just paying off here, and then like the thing that still like not blows my mind, but it's just crazy to think about, because like at the very end, like Eren is even bringing up the fact that so he's kind of at this point experiencing everything all at once, and this is the result that was like the least bad that he could think of.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind that like 80% of like all people dying is a thing that's kind of like best for Paradise Island.
No, it's crazy because I've been seeing the theories, or the way that Attack Titan works, and it's never that he saw the future. It was more like the Attack Titan was able to send he was able to see send the past like he was able to send memories from the future to the past, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So it was almost like Eren had always been playing a chess game, and he was trying to do the best path that would get him to the solution that he would want with the least amount of his friends or whatever happening. But it's like, dude, it's like one of those things, like no matter what he did, he had to sacrifice some friends along the way, and it's crazy, man. I just there is a certain sadness for Eren throughout this whole show, man.
Well, I mean, just to see the kind of monster that he's become, at least to like the people, right? Like the people of the world, not just the Marlians, everyone outside of Paradise. Like,
most hated man of all time, yeah.
Most hated men of all times, and then just the physical monstrosity, right? Because he was like a freaking huge, like, was it even a Titan? I mean, it was a Titan, obviously, but it's just like how crazy he looked. Like, I was so impressed by that when we saw it the last episode, or just in general watching it again. Yeah. And then just to like know that this finale takes like at least one half of it takes place on his back. It's another reason why like it was such a good episode, right? Because I was just imagining, not to like put it down or make a joke out of it, but it seems like a war of like fleas or some kind of animals in a dog, and like we've seen plenty of movies and other things like that, but it's just like how big he was, and then how minuscule like the Titans, like the Titans that came out of the Attack Titan of him came out, and then obviously you have like freaking the freaking Armor Titan and everyone else in there too. And these dudes are usually huge. And even the Colossal Titan, Bernthal, like, I mean, at one point, like, he's just out there and he's still not as big as
big,
like,
Bernthal,
yeah, he's still not as big. So it's just like insane to think of the scale of this episode and oh, man,
and then we only got one out of, like, you know, we saw different reincarnations of different Titans. Like, we only got one Colossal Titan that was, you know, he brought back. Imagine if he would have brought like multiple. Look, I know they all look the same, so we wouldn't really have gone. I think Colossal Titans is always meant to look a certain way, but it would have been interesting to like get multiple Colossal Titans throughout like his back. But maybe that would have gone a little bit too heavy.
But it was really fun to see the other like Titan radiations or like the other past existent Titans. And I know even like when we were first watching it, and I don't know, obviously Carlos, because you read the manga, like you knew that was somewhat going to happen. But to me, that was shocking because already all I thought we were going to go into this episode seeing was like them fighting, you know, Eren and Zeke in whatever form they were kind of combined now. And then to see that immediately, it was like not only a bunch of like Titans that were extensions of him, but that they were past Titans. And then I think I forget who mentions it at one point, whether it was Connie or someone else, but they made the comment of like, who knows, or Levi, who knows if their mind is still even in there. And the reality is that for a lot of them, they kind of are, but they're just kind of like in the background or just kind of, you know, don't have control of it, but they're there like to some extent.
Yeah, and that's partly because of all the Titans that Eren currently has. Like within him of like the special Titans, and then also the fact that there are Marlians, because apparently all the Marlians have some sort of weird connection or something.
Yeah.
About, which is how Eren was able to talk to all Marlians at one point.
But at that point was because of Ymir, right?
Yeah, Ymir,
wasn't that the main reason is because she was also connected to them at that point, because it was basically all encapsulated. That idea, and too, I mean, just the general that we had kind of left off, like knowing that Eren and Ymir had a better connection than Ymir and Zeke. And
I just want to say it was Eldians. I think you said Marlians.
Okay,
he had connections to
Eldians.
No.
Raul. I think a lot for me of the animation and where the show, like the finale really did it for me is like the fight scenes, obviously, and not because of the fighting, but just some of the crazy stuff that they were doing at that point. And again, bringing back to the idea of scale, right? You know, obviously in the beginning of this episode, it was basically them fighting on top of Eren, and you're seeing all these other Titans come out of his body, the extensions, and them fighting like, you know, the oh my god, freaking Eren's friends. And then ultimately, like, all these interactions, all these fights and the way they're happening are beautiful. Like, I think I was the most impressed by the Cart Titan. Like, Peak did awesome. I love some of her fight scenes, as you know, this is jumping a little bit ahead, but like after she finally freed herself from the which was the other Titan,
the Warhammer.
The
Warhammer, yeah. After she finally freed herself and she started just killing all the other freaking like Jaw Titans and everything and other Card Titans, and every time she would kind of get snapped, she would freaking fly out. And she even made the comment of like, "Oh, just because I'm a utility Titan doesn't mean I don't know how to fight." And you know, so it's just, I mean, but those scenes in particular were amazing because, yeah, of course, they weren't focusing on who was attacking her per se, because you would just see the snap and the blood and like her being decapitated. But then you have more of an action sequence of her like coming out of the body like that. And I don't know. I mean, those are the scenes that really kind of captivated me. Like there was plenty of them too. I feel like the whole freaking fight on the back was like full of like extreme movements and elongated like throws and stuff like that.
Dude, that's the thing about like all the Titans. I feel like some of them are very underrated. Like, for example, the Card Titan. Like, I am so impressed by the fact that I think it was said at one point, like, hey, I can stay in this form for like months if I needed to, because that's the secret to like the Card Titan, that stamina is very high. So yeah, like Ramon, like at the end where she's just like, you know, I can do this all night, to quote Captain America, or all day, to quote Captain America, and she was doing that, man. She was like ripping these other Titans apart and constantly transforming. And I'm like, dude, like Peak, like you've done a great job. I remember the first time I saw that Titan was, I think, when she saved Zeke. So I'm like, she's constantly being like very consistent with the things that she's done. So I feel like that Titan is very underrated for sure. And I do like that girl a lot. I know we didn't get too much of her, but I think she's very silly.
I mean, it's a small detail I don't want to forget, but I think it's even funny at the end when everybody is like kind of waking up from these memories of Eren talking to them, and she doesn't get one, and she's like, "I wish I would have had one. I would have been able to talk to him."
Yeah, because was like, he said for us to live long, and it's like, oh, I wish I had dogs.
No, yeah,
she didn't meet him. Like,
No.
Yeah, I do agree though that like I think that they really missed an opportunity to have like a theater release for this, because especially considering how like some of the more recent like prominent animes have done in the box office. I think that they definitely would have made money off
Dude,
of it, because the Mugen Train, and then the Jujutsu Zero, and then even I think Dragon Ball Super movie
dude,
did like very well.
dude, right
And then
now would have.
Tekken Titan's like one of the big animes right now
Dude,
too.
dude, it would have cleaned the movie theater box. Like it would have like
Yeah,
everybody would
yeah.
have gone to see it this weekend. Everybody would have dressed up. You would have seen so many TikToks of people dressed like Ramon going to the movie theater. It would have been
Notice.
hilarious.
All of
Uh
the Swifties would have gone too.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think it was. I think it could have brought a lot of money to the. But again, I mean, it didn't happen. I would never understand the reasons why, but it's whatever. I mean, let's move past it.
What other like little fight moments on Eren's back did you guys enjoy? Like,
Well, like I mean,
Dude,
Reiner transforming and starting the fight with Sheik, man. Like Reiner, freaking MVP throughout the whole thing, man.
oh
It's
yeah.
like, yeah,
Oh yeah, dude, he was being like Iron Man, or like not like the superhero Iron Man, but he was being like just enduring all of it, like all the battles that. And dude, honestly, for me, like I loved seeing like all the different the Warhammer Titans,
yeah.
because like I don't know, I feel like they
They
can do so many different things, and I just loved how different all the different Titans look.
and those all
I
look
didn't
cool,
expect so much
man.
variety. Yeah,
Yeah, like those, every single one, even the ones in the background, they all look cool, man. Like I wouldn't mind having any
yeah,
of those versions.
yeah. The
No,
Jaw Titans were pretty cool too, though.
yeah. And obviously we saw like all the different variations of the Beast Titan, because there was like, I mean, besides
Oh
the
yeah,
Okapi who like eventually took Armin, like there was a couple crazy ones in there. And again,
I thought
even
that was a
some
car
that
titan.
I thought wasn't that a Beast Titan?
No, the way
It's,
it
it's just an
moved and
animal.
how fast it was, but
and
I
It's an
think
how not
Okapi,
long it was.
yeah,
but
because even
it's an
there was
yeah.
even that scene with Mikasa and Annie where it's like, can you give me a description? And she's like, I don't know, it was like car, jaw, maybe beast, and Annie was like, okay, stop being silly, Mikasa, like give me a serious description of what it was.
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I just I took more of the beast times being something where they were gonna have human bodies, but their face would always look like a beast, Ramon. And so that's
Oh,
how
I see. It
I.
makes sense.
To me, that's how I like if I was to like say like, oh, that one's a beast titan. To me, that's what I would recognize it as. Like if the body was human, but then the face was some kind of animal, then to me that would be a beast titan.
Yeah, I mean, just because he was completely like a freaking animal, that's why I kind of assumed. Which who cares? Again, little understatement.
I guess because of the
Um,
four-legged, like how it runs, like I assume anything that runs on a four legs is it's a card titan, you know. But
so
again,
I
we don't know.
and obviously I'm not going to spend this whole time looking for it, but even just in my initial search, there's people who are like, perhaps it's a jaw titan too. So it seems like it's not an easy answer, or not like a definitive answer, but maybe we keep looking, which we're not going to do right now. So that's cool though, but that's what I'm saying. I think that was one of the silliest ones, is because he kind of like was rendered even differently, like his animation was different,
Yeah.
but still nonetheless, like the scene where he kidnaps Armin
Yeah.
in the first place. Show me, Carlos, how do you do it?
No, that was cool. That was like, they all have some kind of like little abilities. That one having like a tongue that could come out and like stab you. I'm like, that's freaking cool. I'll take that. As
And
long as
at
you can
first I
watch
was like, what kind of hentai shit is this? Like, because it happened like so quick. But then I realized that obviously, therefore, Armin wasn't able to bite himself and not turn into a titan that way, because he had a big old
Yeah.
tongue sticking down his mouth. But again, small details that again happen so quick. And then later, when you're thinking about it, and Levi said it, he's like, no, if Armin would have been in any kind of physical attack or danger, he would have already activated the Colossal Titan, and he didn't. That means that he got kidnapped like well. So
Yeah.
that was another impressive thing. I liked, and again, it's just, I guess the fight scenes kind of jump all over the place, but one of the other things when I was telling you guys that I love like movement, and this is later on too, but even just like when Annie and slingshots like Mikasa like off her hand,
Yeah.
to eventually do like that one blow like towards the end, when she's like still fighting. But like that's what I'm saying, movements like that, because then you have Mikasa like flying down the spine of freaking Eren, like so crazy.
Well, dude, Annie was cool because she also can armor certain parts of her body. So
Ooh.
that was really cool, because then she would armor her feet and then she would do like an attack. And the cool thing about Annie is that she knows like martial arts. So she was always kind of had the advantage when it came to like some of these other titans. So yeah, dude. So like she was to me like really cool to have there. And I don't know. I kept looking at her Titan, and I'm like, man, that's not a bad looking Titan form.
No, but we always known that. I think Annie was one of those Titans originally that were like the most compelling, and obviously you had the three because it was like the Armor, the Colossal, and then her, and they were so mysterious because that was like the first season. You were already so intrigued trying to figure out what they were, who they like, who they ultimately are. So obviously this was a reveal a long time ago, but like again to see her in action again when she spent so much of the whole Attack on Titan like under dormant state and being crystallized, so she was awesome. Which again, seeing the way that she came in too was pretty badass because Falco brought him.
Falco, man, he finally got to fly, and dude, Falco, he looks so cool, man. I don't know, I like that Titan a lot, and I don't know if it's the fact that it's like it feels like it's like human wearing a bird's mask, but I love the way Falco looks.
Yeah. By the way, I just looked up the pictures of the different Beast Titans, and they're pretty cool.
I was wondering what you were doing.
If you haven't heard about Wolf Talk,
I was quiet. I was like, "Oh, cool." There's a crocodile one. There's a deer one. There's a like ram looking one.
Well, I saw your head looking at your crotch, and I was hoping that you were in your phone. I'm like, he must be looking at something.
Yes, that's the Beast Titan I was looking at.
Nice.
Wow, bro. Wow.
Nice, bro. Nice. No, but I mean, yeah, I think with Falco, it was a great surprise too, because even when we left off the last time that we had seen him, it was that whole idea of like, we were all like, dude, he looks like a chicken or a bird. But either way, like, he reminded me of just like that, like Power Rangers. I don't know if you remember the freaking like crows, little dudes that came down and like were flying down. Anyways, he reminded me of something cool like that, and it was pretty cool to see him like flying. Not only that, just that he saved like Connie and them. It's pretty good.
Well, dude, that was like his second transformation, because his first transformation, they're like, you're gonna lose control, you're not gonna be able to tell who's good versus bad. And this for being his second transformation, and for him to like say, I think I can fly, and be able to fly, and be able to do all this stuff on his second transformation, that's pretty impressive. Because if you go back and you even watch when Eren started doing that Attack on Titan, it took training.
He couldn't even do like the full body transformation.
And he didn't even know he had the Founder's Titan at that point. So it's like, dude, you had like not just one Titan, you had like the Founder Titan in you too, and you couldn't even do it.
And then another funny thing too is seeing at what cost, because when they were asking like, but how? And then he's like, well, kind of had to sacrifice the ship we were on, like, because that was the only way that he was going to be able to like transform and see if it worked. And then you see everybody else that was on that ship with them was like all rolling the little like robots.
The lifeboats.
Which is crazy because normally the Jaw Titans, they're not like the biggest. They're normally like short and agile. So that was kind of weird that, because I would have thought maybe some of the other Jaw Titans would have been able to gone on the boat. Maybe it's a transformation itself, right? Because it's like an explosion it causes.
Yeah, it's an explosion.
Yeah.
He was still pretty huge though. Like, I mean, he held like how many? 5 people, 6 people too, like on his back. Yeah. Yeah. Because usually those are pretty like small and agile, and they're just running around like biting stuff.
Dude, I was so surprised that Levi actually fought so much throughout this episode. Because from what I remember, I thought he was just like hurt and really couldn't do anything. The one thing I remember about it was that he was the one that obviously executes or kills off Zeke, because that was his whole purpose. Like, I gotta find and get my revenge. Even that was kind of a little bit funny, even though it wasn't supposed to be. That's
what I told Ewan or whatever his name is. Dude, that's the thing that annoys me about catching up with animes. Is that they're so long in between episodes or like seasons that like at this point, like I have to go back and rewatch so much, because there's so many like small things that like I forgot who people are.
Well, dude, I think this one's going to be a really fun one to revisit, because now that you know all the twists, who's who, you're going to be able to like look at them and like, I'm watching you, Reiner, I'm watching you, Annie, like right off the bat, and you're going to be able to like pay attention to what they're planning. If people are talking on this corner, are they all three together in another corner? So it's going to be really fun to actually do a rewatch of this. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah.
There you are, Marco.
Well, like you said earlier, Carlos, the foreshadowing is pretty crazy. Like, even in the first half of this finale, like, it started with, like, Eren's head underneath the tree. And again, if you would have known that he was going to end up decapitated, that's exactly what it looked like. Is that decapitated head underneath the tree. But then the like, obviously imagery, like, they pans out and it's him taking a nap underneath the tree. And I think that was one of the most memorable things, because at that point I already been spoiled to that. And so, but just the idea that ultimately that's kind of where he ends up was like another beautiful foreshadowing moment. moment in the beginning, and then like you said, like seeing that ahead of time, I was like, damn, I know what happens, and damn, this like these people are crazy in the way that they're making this anime and how it's all coming out to like fruition. It was great.
No, dude. It's everything about it, man. I mean, I think once Falco does come in, because I'm trying to like this is kind of broken into 3 episodes. So I think the first episode, like, dude, you get all the like the nice action scenes, and you get the second one when it's like round two, and they come off of Falco's back, and I'm trying to like think about like what details are happening at that point, because I think that's when we start getting Armin waking up, and he's in the pads, and all of a sudden he finds, because he's like, hey, I'm not passed out or I'm not dead, because if I was dead, I wouldn't be able to think, I wouldn't be able to look at myself. So then he realizes he's in the pats, and that's when he sees
Good old Descartes.
and then he sees like Zeke next to him. So that was kind of cool. I like that when him and Zeke are together in the pats.
But even I think even before like his interaction with Zeke, I think that was probably like the first. Well, I mean, the whole show was emotional, but I think that was one of the first like one-on-one emotional like dialogues that were going. Or I guess it was more of a monologue because he was passed out. But when he was having the whole not out of body experience, but when he was seeing himself laying there, like that's probably the most emotional moment that we gotten so far. When he again is basically telling himself like,
yeah, like,
you shouldn't have been the one that got
garbage.
Get up, like you wasted this opportunity, because that obviously they chose to give the serum to him instead of Erwin, and that could have been a potential whole different thing. And it was beautiful because it was a moment of like self-reflection. It was a moment of like desperation, that he's not like out and fighting, but then it turns out into probably the most opportunist moment in the whole like episode, because if it wasn't for him ultimately realizing that he is in the paths and then eventually talking to Zeke, like he wouldn't awaken Zeke fully to kind of make him understand, and then therefore turn the Titans, which that was a cool moment too, just him explaining to him that life is more than just like fighting and more than just that it is enjoying like moments and enjoying moments for what they are. And I gotta love where freaking Armin is holding the leaf that reminds him of Mikasa and Eren, like that in that tree and running around and all that stuff. And then Zeke keeps seeing the baseball, and it was just like at the beginning you're like, what, like Armin is holding a leaf, and then Zeke sees a baseball, but then then he thinks
I love how they
simple.
did that.
Great. And then just how simple can you get than a game of catch? Because like game of catch has like no purpose but just throwing the ball back and forth. And I think that really helps Zeke understand that life can be simple moments like that, and that's all you need to kind of want to live it and want to be around certain people. And that was definitely a definitive moment right there, because that woke him up.
Dude, whoever directed this like did such an awesome job, just like the different scenes, and then like just like small moments like that like from one perspective you see the leaf, and then the other perspective you see the ball, but like you get it. Just like they don't need to explain it to you, they don't need to go into a whole like exposition saying when you're looking at it this way it's a baseball because I had this pass, blah blah blah. But like they treat you like you're not an idiot, and I love that when directors treat you like you're not an idiot.
Well, you probably gotta remember Zeke in that world. When you're in that world, like you could have been there for like 100. Like Zeke could have been there for 100 years. So like imagine being there for 100 years. You don't find nothing but sand, and then all of a sudden, like like he brings up what he thinks is a leaf, but to him it's a baseball. It's like, wait, like how did this happen? The one thing about that conversation I did like was that Zeke sort of gave you an explanation of how Titans came to be, about the whole existence of life and how life was forged, and we're able to continue because we're able to reproduce. So that was kind of like interesting, because it sort of also said that the reason Titans were formed was because Ymir, I don't know if that was Eren later on telling him, or it was Zeke right now at this moment, but it sort of explained that Ymir wanted to have she wanted to be strong. She wanted to sort of like live forever. And because of her, like the Pats was created. Because of her, like her wish to be strong and live forever, be powerful, created the Titans. So that was something like to me very intriguing, because then I kind of imagine, obviously we're going to talk about the end credit scene at the end and what it means, but it's like, does that mean that whatever that person falls in there and whatever their desires are, that creature could technically manifest it if it's possible? So what I'm trying to get is, maybe we do get something kind of spin-off later on. Like, is it going to be where we're not going to see the Titans that we're more accustomed to seeing? It's going to be like a totally different thing, because I'm already kind of preparing myself for that kind of twist.
Dr. Stone?
That could be
Yeah.
cool.
Something, man.
That could be cool. But another moment within that whole Zeke explanation that you just said too that I like is that also it reminds you again what the ultimate, I guess not the ultimate, but what the purpose of this all is for Ymir and then for Eren as well. Because something that Zeke lacks is the understanding that Ymir, like what Ymir truly is there for and why she's been imprisoned for 2000 and self-imprisoned, right? Because she put herself there for 2000 years, and in
She
reality
wanted to
by
feel a
the end
connection.
she wants to feel a connection, and it comes from love because she loved the king. She had children with him, and then whether he cared for her or not, it was that devotion, the love, and that wanting that contact or that connection, like you said, was all she ever wanted. And Eren clearly understood that. And just it's crazy how like at the end, and obviously we'll talk about it again, how Mikasa is kind of the connecting, the unifying missing piece in that equation, because they're basically almost very similar people. Like Ymir sees herself in Mikasa in that whole devotion and love that she has. Like she's imprisoned. It's crazy.
Well, again, not to get to the ending, but you're
yes, I know. It's so hard because it came from Zeke.
Well, you're bringing it up, and like, okay, at the end of this, once this is like they decapitate Eren, they sort of mention
They do
like
what?
it's true. Like, well, they're all under thinking like, hey, if you decapitate Eren, like this is gonna be over. The way I took it is that once she decapitated Eren and she was kissing him, what truly ended the cycle of the Titans is that Ymir was able to see that, like, even though Makima loved Eren so much, she did this very hurtful thing, like ending the existence of her one true love.
What? Mikasa.
Mikasa, sorry, ending like the existence of her one true love. What did I say? Just one.
Mikama, Makina from Chainsaw Man.
I want to take Mikasa to Mikama. That's probably where that. But no, wow. I believe that the reasons why the Titans stopped was because Ymir was able to experience this moment of like this person that also loved this person was able to end the existence to Eren, like finally put an end to Eren. So I feel like that's what ended it. It wasn't really that she cut off Eren's head and that stopped the whole thing. I think it was Ymir experiencing this moment and sort of feeling that connection with Mikasa.
Absolutely. Well, we'll come back to this because that's where I get all teary-eyed. I get all teary-eyed just thinking about like that whole overall thing. But no, I mean, it was just great because then from that moment, Zeke, clearly tells you this without telling you this because that's the missing piece for him. But then, you see where freaking Bernthal comes from behind them, and then you start seeing more of the past like Titans like appear one by one. And I didn't realize that was going to be the moment where they all kind of came into consciousness in the outside bodies of the Titans, and that was just great to see because once these Titans start turning on the other Titans, it was wonderful.
Yeah, game changer for sure.
Well, yeah, because there was the other Ymir, and then it was like Brennholtz or whatever his name is.
Brennholtz, yeah.
Well, you got the brothers too, the two Jaw Titans. Those were like really cool together to see them fight.
Marco and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Gallier. I'm trying to think of his name.
I can never remember their names, man. They're both.
It's been so long.
I can only remember this episode's characters. Not kidding. Yeah, but it's been a while though.
I mean, it feels like that. I mean, when Levi is looking at every past member, I'll be honest, there was only like 4 of them that I could truly recognize, and then some.
We were having a discussion about it too, because like I didn't immediately recognize who the Ram Beast Titan was, and then you eventually pointed out that was the one that Zeke was playing baseball with, and the one that or catch with, and was teaching him, or who was talking about the euthanization plan that they originally had. But see, that's another thing too, that like that happened a little bit quick. You were more like, this is about to happen, and then later you're revisiting, especially on my second watch, you get to really slow down with all this information you already have, like you said, and just be like, oh yeah, that is the guy that he talked about killing every Eldian and making them stop having babies forever and ever and ever. It was him.
Dude, how cool was it to find out that Ymir was the one that let the pigs loose? Like she was the one that left the gate open. Like how cool was that? Because that's what started this whole thing with her. It was the fact that somebody had let out the pigs, and they asked, like the king is like, if I don't find out who did this, like I'm gonna start decapitating or taking off arms, and everybody pointed to Ymir. So we thought as the audience, like, oh man, they're just like picking on her because she doesn't have any parents, so it's easy to blame. put the fault on this child that doesn't have anybody to defend her. But in reality, it was her, man. So that was to me like something that I remember being kind of like, like my jaw dropped. The idea that like, you know, you're thinking she's innocent, but it's like, no, she left the pig door open, and as she was walking away, she was smiling. So that was really to me like, I don't know. To me, that was like a big moment, a big meaningful moment.
Do you
I have
think
no idea
that
what
was?
you're talking about.
Of course you don't.
course,
Keep braiding your
Which is why I
beard.
say I need
Keep
to
braiding your
rewatch it.
beard.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the result of like Eren kind of like, because I don't know, does Eren have
Interfering?
I mean, well, no, not I wouldn't call it interference, but you
No.
know, out of this, you know that it's all interconnected. That you find out that even Eren's like some of his first memories that or I guess some of the first things we saw Eren do and things that happened in Attack on Titan were a result of Eren manipulating the past and not necessarily again putting thoughts into anyone, but it happened multiple times, right? His mother,
With
like
his dad.
yeah.
Well, I think he can only manipulate the Attack Titan and other Titans. So like, I don't think he would be able to manipulate like somebody like the Beast Titan or the female Titan. It's only the Attack Titan and then other Titans that he is able to like actually move the chess pieces with them.
But I'm saying because him and Ymir had a connection to that degree, do you think that maybe he kind of influenced her decisions in the past to kind of ultimately create the Titans? Like,
I don't know. To me, I just take it like, you know, this girl, you know, she didn't want these pigs to be, you know, killed. So she let them free. And then again, Ro, I know you don't remember this, but it's kind of like, it is a big moment just because when it does happen and everybody's blaming her and, you know, you see the king and he's like, you know, they're playing this game of like, hey, go out in the woods and we're going to catch you and tear you to pieces, the dogs or whoever's going to tear you to pieces. And that's when she finds the big tree. Like it is a big like moment because that's, to me, that's what starts Attack on Titan. The idea of her releasing these pigs and the people actually, I don't know if people actually saw her, but you know, it was her. Like to me, that's just a shocking part. And I want to move past it.
Where is this?
I thought that was
show?
I'm
sure
find it. Just look it up. Just look it up online. Well, look it up online because I don't even know.
No, because I'm wondering whether I need to rewatch a whole stupid show.
No, I don't. Well, it's not even just that, but like even Carlos, you describing it makes me think of like even just that, like her showing compassion for the pigs in that sense, and kind of like again humanity, even like the most unopportune or most like rich or I guess the poorest of people do deserve like freedom and all this stuff, and kind of this like the whole thing. She's like basically saying the way that the Titans create is like we need a way to let people fight and be able to stand a chance against everyone else and everything else. And I don't know, man, just like the more I hear everyone talk about it, the more that I just keep loving it because it's so super interconnected and so smart.
No, absolutely. We do get a cool shot with Gabi. You know, when the other Titans come in and help out, and then Mikasa's like, "This is my chance to get that. What is that cow-looking thing called? An okapi?
Okapi.
Yeah. So she's like, "This is my chance," and Gabi takes a shot from Falco. I thought that was kind of cool because I don't like Gabi, but I do appreciate that she's been trained in the ways of being like a hardcore soldier, and she was the number one pick to become the next Titan. So yeah, she has skills. I mean, she was even the one that took the shot against Eren and freaking tore off his head.
Yeah, but we also hate her because of Sasha, so it's okay.
Oh
it's
yeah,
okay.
But I regrettably understand Gabi.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah. We needed that character to see that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, to see the other side of the impact and kind of how, because that's a crazy thing to think about too, because you have these like Aldeans or whatever in Paradise Island, and then you have the ones in the other country,
Marley,
and like whatever it's called. But like they're also like opposed to each other, even though they're like the same people technically. But it's just the concept is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, and like I think Gabi is the main representation of like indoctrination and like again what you have when you force feed not necessarily propaganda, but like that's kind of like what you're believed. I mean, you're meant to believe a way of thinking, whether it's from an opposing like group of people or from your own people. Like if you grew up in that, you really don't know any better. And she kind of stood her ground almost to the end because that was her role in this place, was just opposing the freaking people from Paradise, and you know that it was just they're the bad guys, and you know just because Titans shouldn't be a thing, kill everybody.
Dude, you know who was also in this episode? Connie and Jean. And I want to say
Yeah.
I've always sort of had I do have a soft spot for Jean for some reason. I don't know if it's the idea that from the very beginning of the show he didn't even want to be part of the Scouts. He wanted to be a policeman and he wanted to live the high life, but then he got
And
dragged
be
into
lazy.
this. And he could have been the guy that like at some point we could have seen him like get killed anyway, like any there were so many ways he could have died, but he didn't. He stayed
With
true to
everyone
like being
else.
he stayed true to being a scout. And even throughout this whole everything they went through, like he made it at the end, man. Even though when him and Connie thought like, okay, well this is the end, and as scouts we're going out together, and I thought that was awesome, beautiful moment.
Dude, yeah, I so thought that like everyone that turned into a Titan was done.
I'm just gonna say, like, I feel like he was needed in the battle. I don't care, he can't transform. I feel like he brings something, or he brought something, or just having that character.
Connie too.
He's not the leader because you got Reiner there, but I felt like without Levi or Reiner, like you look to Jean for like, hey, what do we do next?
Yes, and I think Jean always kind of felt like played that whole like brotherly connection with Eren, but I don't like him because he ends up with Mikasa, so I know exactly why I don't like him.
I don't care what people say. He ends up with Mikasa. Like there is no way they did not end up together. When you see
I thought that was in the I thought that was in the manga because from what I've been seeing lately is that in the manga they did say that she did end up with Jean. In the show they didn't show it. But those last scenes and the post-credit scenes, once you kind of know that Jean is the one that she ends up with, that's technically Mikasa and Jean, and Mikasa, Jean, and the kid, and maybe the grandchildren,
and there's a clip where like Jean daydreaming of him having like Mikasa as his wife and him drinking like coffee in the balcony, and I sent it to you, Rose. It's on your TikTok for you to like look.
I gotta catch up.
So yeah, like I do feel like he took an opportunity or a shot and he scored, my man, score.
Man, that's not even. Dude, she never took off the scarf, so that just goes to show you. Like, how would you feel if you're with someone and she's never, ever gonna forget her past love, ever? She died with the scarf. She died with the scarf wrapped around her, like
Dude, like I feel like nobody else is ever gonna understand what they went through, so it's just like one of those things.
Well, they grew up together too, though.
But not Jean, though.
No, I mean Mikasa and Eren.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that Eren's just going to be like the love of her life, but I think Jean understands that. But I think he, at the end of the day, I'm sure there was multiple times. I'm sure there was multiple times where Mikasa woke up in the middle of the night, sweating, screaming, and he was always there, man. So no matter how her feelings were towards Eren in her first 20 years of her life, Jean was the guy that was there for the next 40, so I don't care what happened. Clearly she had babies, kids, so like he was there, man.
I guess I guess he would be like 1, 2 in trust. Definitely not Armin. I don't trust that guy. But I'm just kidding.
Dude, that's the other thing. I feel like I will say that's one character that I feel that kind of like let you down because like before the time skip, like he was like talked up so much.
Oh, Armin?
Armin. Yeah, because he was talked up like, and then like the plans that he made and everything to fight the Titans and all that stuff, and he was like brilliant. And then after he got the Colossal Titan, and after the time skip, then it was like Armin's just another guy that's like his best friend. He's just like the side character best friend.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And it kind of goes back to what Ramon was mentioning about like when he's talking to himself and saying like, you're garbage. Why did you survive? But I do think about the reason why he was chosen, man. I think he was chosen because he's the only one they could have woken up Zeke from that moment, that conversation. So at the end of the day, no matter how after the second half, he just wasn't smart. He wasn't making the right decisions. Nobody really took him seriously. He never really did anything super cool with the Colossal Titan. And when he did, he regretted it. I think you needed him to have that conversation with Zeke. And I think that's the only reason, honestly. I don't know if Erwin could have done that. I guess not, but I feel like that's the only reason why Armin was chosen, just for that conversation.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like the dynamic of those friends, right? Like Armin, Mikasa, and Eren, like obviously Eren came from a place of wanting to be free, and then ultimately once he found out more and more about like who they were as a group of people, then he was more like jaded and he was just angry and he just wanted to like basically kill everybody else outside of the walls, right? Mikasa was just completely devout to freaking Eren. So if she wasn't following Eren around, that's all she was. It was just kind of, I mean, that's all she was. It was like Eren's
she's
kind
an
of
Ackerman.
thing. But Armin, yeah, true. But I'm saying the point being that Armin is probably the only person that kind of had his not own individual thoughts, but maybe because he was a little cowardly from time to time, it allowed him to keep being not naive, but keep having this simple, like more innocent way of thinking where he was like, oh, I'm not an extremist like Eren, and I'm also not like just a follower like freaking Mikasa. And I really like that he came from his place of like, no, the world can be simple. You can live it and enjoy your friends. You can live and enjoy like chasing, he was saying it's like at that moment when he was having that flashback of them running or racing towards the tree, he said it's like at that moment I felt like I was solely born for that moment. So that, I mean, that's his whole like way of thinking. And yes, of course, there was a whole lot of nothing that he didn't do or didn't do. Yeah, he didn't do a lot of stuff like during the middle of the whole like story. But I think at the end, like you said, it was almost like the Triforce in Zelda. It's like without those three, you really can't have that overall like result. And I don't think anyone else, like you said, Carlos, couldn't pull that off.
Yeah, because Armin was the one that wanted to see the world. He wanted to see the oceans. He wanted to see the volcanoes, the rivers of volcanoes, lava.
Yeah, he's the one that like triggered that want in Eren too.
Yeah, no,
which is why they became scouts. Yeah.
No, so I mean, I get the Armin hate where you're coming from, and that's where I think a rewatch will really help me. Oh, sorry, I thought you were.
That's what you sounded like. It sounded like you were hating.
I just wish that they would have paid off more, like in the older.
But I bet you we rewatch this from beginning to end, and we really get understanding of how much Armin was throughout these whole seasons of these episodes. Like we'll really be like, oh yeah, no, Armin a must like top 5, 6 character for the whole show, for sure. I mean, somebody would say like top 2, definitely before Erwin.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. I guess.
Hey, you're the one who's hating on him.
After I rewatch it. Huh?
You're the one who was hating on him. I'm just agreeing with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I hope after rewatch he's more redeeming because like I just mean like in the second part, like in the post time skip.
No, I don't know. Another thing worth mentioning, just like in all the Godzilla movies, it's all the people and everything else going on. Where the people that were in the Mesa, like the Eldians and the Marlians, that was great too because not just like the parents that were there, because it was nice to see some of these people's parents, like Annie's dad and then freaking Reinhardt's mom. But just the whole idea that it still is high tension, that you still don't know if amongst this crazy ass like apocalypse stampede of giant ass titans, like these people can never like get past their like conflicts with each other. And I love that play on it, because there was a one scene where freaking they cut away from that scene and you hear the shooting, and obviously you're like, dang, probably no one died, but you don't know. And so it leaves you thinking like whether they started shooting at each other. And then just like later on too, like there's a couple moments, well actually especially at the end, like you get them also still pointing guns at each other and not really knowing who to trust. And it's just that whole thing, like all this stuff can be going on, like aliens could be coming down to Earth right now, we're gonna be stupid and just keep fighting each other. So
yeah, no, I'm surprised nobody accidentally like pulled the trigger. I mean we're right there, we're at the point where, because we mentioned how Zeke was able to like break through, and I do want to talk about the moment where Zeke kind of like starts like looking, like he comes out at the very top of the Eren, starts looking, admiring what a beautiful day, what a perfect day, how he kind of wish he had actually enjoyed those moments a lot sooner. Obviously he reflects a little bit about like all the killing he's done, so he doesn't really deserve to continue to live. But I did think it was such a great moment, man. This idea of like, he knows Levi is there probably because of Armin, and this idea of like, hey, I'm right here, to Levi, and Levi's eye all of a sudden like sparking up, and it's like, dude, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, to me, Zeke and Levi have the coolest relationship throughout this whole like show. Like this whole like, Zeke was the one Titan that I feel like truly had a god complex. Like I just felt like he did feel, especially because he had that other one person that did treat him as a god. But I felt like Zeke, he did think he was a god. In his Titan beast form, he thought everybody was like inferior to him. And this idea that Levi put him in his place so many times, dude, it's just like I can't like it gets me hyped up just thinking about every single time that he thought he had Levi and Levi just came and took him down, man. It's insane.
And there was no other way for him to go. And I do like that. Like obviously he called them out first. Like he said, "Hey, like I'm here," and then the time of reflection came after that. So it's like he knew, like he was making peace with himself at that moment. But like for them to do that, like Raul was saying earlier, how beautifully they do some of this editing and the way that they kind of like show you the story. Like he says hi, you know what's going to happen because Levi's obsessed with that. And he knows he has to kill him regardless, right? There's no like, oh, I wonder why he's coming out and showing himself. It's just like instant gonna do it. But then you do see Zeke reflect, and then the next thing you know, he just comes and decapitates him so beautifully. And again,
Dude, yeah, and you see the scene of like the slow motion, like the head just in the air moving.
Yeah, and just like that, bro. Just
beautiful.
Beautiful. I don't know, man.
And I mean that stopped the rumbling. After as soon as that happened, like all the giant titans, like they all just stopped. So that was kind of like that truly did work. And then Gene comes in and he explodes Eren's head, and then we get the end credit scenes because it's over.
No, it's not. you have one of the cooler parts left. I mean, well, two cooler parts, but I really liked the fight between Armin and freaking Eren. Like I thought that was just
Well, what did you think about the worm that came out too? Sorry, I also want the thing that's actually creating all the titans. Yeah, like what did you like? Was that something like now looking back at it? Was that like because you never expected that? This idea of like there's an actual thing making people turn into titans or giving them this ability.
I wasn't so. Because I guess it wasn't spoiled because I didn't know it was going to happen this way, but I have seen that worm before and looking at videos in the past more about like Attack on Titan and kind of like the origins of the Titans and how like Ymir came to contact with the same thing. So I had seen that from like whether it was the panels or just I guess people showing it on their videos, but I had seen that worm thing with Ymir in the past. But I had no clue that thing was going to come out of Eren. And not only that, but that it was going to be like a crazy centipede monster type thing. And then even crazier, just like seeing them fight, like when freaking like the armored titan is fighting him, when they're all like trying to fight them together. Like that was cool, man. Like, because not only were you just trying to stop this giant ass Eren and all these other titans, now you have like a creature that again, Tyler, you have no clue what it is. Like titans, you knew. This thing, you're like, what?
Like what is? And then it was kind of it was crazy when they started like gassing all the people, and that to me was like really crazy because I'm like, oh man, like they thought everything was okay, and now they're gonna turn into titans, and I thought a lot of people were gonna perish doing that, but I mean, thankfully, as soon as they transformed, they all ran towards trying to like get Eren. Like that was the goal that that worm put in everybody's mind.
That took me like not a second because of the steam, but just like a second to understand what's happening because the ones that were already can become titans, they left right away. But then you had like Connie and Jean were left behind, or obviously they had to stay behind. But just that moment of them reflecting and being like, oh, after all this, is this how we're gonna go? And it's just like it's crazy because even we think that too. We're like, crap.
Yeah.
Is this it for them? Like I didn't think they were gonna come. I didn't think they were gonna come back to normal at all. I thought that whatever was gonna happen, that was gonna be the conclusion, and then everybody that was a Titan is done. Like they just I don't know wandered off somewhere else. But that resolution of no more Titans was cool too.
The show isn't shy about killing out people, so
no. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh dang, do that in the last episode, last 20 minutes. Why not?
and I thought it was funny, like the way they run. That's something about the show that always has brought like a little bit of humor to me in this world, like the idea of like how these Titans all run kind of goofy. So we got a little bit of glimpse of some of them running goofy, so that kind of brought a smile to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Ro, I don't know if you can recreate a way that they run. I've done it in past videos.
I'll try it. I'll try it the next time that the next time that I play soccer. I'll run like that.
Oh my god! Okay.
Have someone record you, send it to us, score a goal, and I'll give you $20.
Done.
No,
I'll see. I play defense, so
it's like too much work. But then that fight with Armin and freaking Eren, I thought was pretty cool though, because not only was it just kind of obviously like two crazy titans like fighting each other, but just again brothers fighting brothers, and just like that you don't want to do it, but you have to. And then even later when you're having those like weird flashback memories that Eren instilled in Armin, you have that whole like, well, you didn't have to like hit me so hard, or you didn't have to like knee me in the stomach. And it's just, it was like strange how that all happened too, but with Eren's powers, it makes sense how that conversation went. I just thought it was cool that they were reflecting about that fight after the fight. That's just so great.
No, I mean when it's Levi, Mikasa, and Falco up on on the bird. They're the ones that are like, all right, we gotta put a stop to her, and so that was cool, man. We got our final ODM gear, kind of like how would I call it? Like just the last time we see these characters like using their ODM gear, and I thought that was really cool because they're I don't know what debris they were trying to like not get hit by. To me, I felt like that was maybe like, let's say, Armin punched Eren, and that was maybe like part of his skull that was flying off. I don't know what it was.
Dude, but that was beautiful. Like Levi freaking slid down of rock flying up because it was like the freaking heated rock was flying up, and then Levi's just like sliding down it, and then continues to go downwards. Like so crazy.
So then, of course, was that like rock said, or was that like part of like skull from like Eren's like took a punch and all that went flying in their direction?
It looked like rock. It looked like rock debris because it looked like as they were smashing and sitting stuff because like the rock was almost on fire, and it was just I just assumed that it was from like all the impact and fights and stuff like that because there was a lot of it too. But I was confused a second, like when you did see like Levi sliding down, but then you see him like not on a rock anymore, and then there's more coming his way, and it's beautiful. Yeah, especially how they opened it up for Mikasa to get in there and like shoot it through his teeth.
And he got his leg hurt. Like Levi got his other leg hurt when he was coming down. So it's like, oh man, like no wonder this guy's like in a wheelchair completely by the end of it.
Yeah.
So, giving away lollipops.
Yeah.
He was giving out mystery treats, and one of them happened to be a lollipop.
Traumatized forever. But I mean, I guess like we're getting towards the end. Like I do really want to talk about like the two scenes of
talk about Mikasa going into his mouth.
Well, that's because that's the whole result of it too. Like because
because if it after that happens, the next 30 minutes are the whole finale of them just having this conversation. So like the first 2 episodes are just like the action scenes. The second episode ends with them like bringing down Eren and Mikasa being like, all right, I gotta take his head. And then the last third episode is 30 minutes of just like drama happening, all this conversation, all these feelings. That's what I kind of like, I liked about this rewatch.
But wasn't it the memory of like Mikasa and Eren before she broke into the mouth? Because that's how she found out that he's in the mouth.
That one happened while she was flying. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's the ones that I want to talk about because I think for her, it was great because again, we viewing this, we're like, when did this happen? Clearly it's an alternate memory or like a memory that Eren instilled in her, but it was beautiful, right? Because that's what she always wanted. She was like, what the hell's going on? I fell asleep. Clearly I just had a crazy ass dream. Now what's going on? But I think it was just beautiful because like, I mean, we haven't seen the breakdown of him with Armin and him confessing that obviously he loves Mikasa and that he doesn't want to see her with anyone else. But at this point, you're seeing like an Eren that Mikasa wanted, where she wants him to be in love with her. She wanted him to leave everything behind, to give up the rumbling, to give up him trying to kill everybody and to stay together, like run away and be together. And it was nice to see it because it was like that happy ending that she wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of made me tear up because you knew it wasn't real. Like, that's really not what was happening. What was not going to happen.
No, I mean, Eren would have been okay, I think, if that would have been like an alternate decision that had been made. Like they did run during that moment where he asked her, like, hey, let's just run away. Like, I think he would have been happy. Obviously, a lot of people would have suffered from that decision, but a lot of people did suffer from the other decision. So it's just
a little bit.
I mean, the only thing that truly did happen that I think had to be done is this whole like Titans, like no more Titans. Like I think that was just like the one thing, no matter what, like that got taken off. Like that's never gonna happen again. So I think that was like the one positive outcome about this, even though I feel like this world was getting to the point where like Titans really weren't gonna be as fearful as they used to be because the weapons were evolving themselves. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I always just have like arguments with myself about like, did he do the right thing or did he not? Clearly, he did he did not do the right thing, but I just don't know what else he could have done.
That always reminds me of like when Kenny Anchorman like showed up in the picture, because then all of a sudden you had like humans killing humans, and it's like the same thing that you were talking about. Like, yes, I guess one of the better results of like Eren doing all this crazy stuff was that you weren't gonna have Titans anymore. But clearly, by the end credit scenes, like you saw that it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter.
Technology.
Like, it's just gonna happen. But I don't know.
Yeah, he
So
was able to give him like maybe 2,000 years of peace, and eventually, like maybe after 1,500 years, like things just started to pick up again. You know, it's like people are always gonna hold a grudge against that one country that technically annihilated 80% of the world at one point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
People hold grudges.
People do hold grudges, man. But I mean, we do, because I think Eren's like, hey, promise me that, once I pass away, you'll throw away that scarf. And she's like, I'm never throwing the scarf away.
Nope. And she doesn't.
No.
And she doesn't. I mean, I guess, do we go to that scene or the scene with Armin? Because I still like that scene with Armin is also like beautiful.
Well, I mean, let's go with the scene that happens after that. That way we kind of like know we're heading towards like the final episode, like final third part. Yeah.
Well, okay. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked that she kissed him, but I think that's probably the scene that made me cry.
Weird.
I think that no, it's not weird. Shut up. Like I would do it too. If it happens, it happens.
You would kiss a severed head?
Yes.
If it's like your wife, yeah, why not?
Sure.
Because
okay,
it's a
wait.
severed head?
I guess we're specifying. No. Yeah, but like that scene did that scene did make me emotional, and I think it is because they were going back and forth between that memory and that, because like one part like he was like fine, and the next second he had his little Titan marks from like the stress, and then ultimately when she goes in there, freaking flies in, no second, he opens his eyes for the first time in the whole since the rumbling, like right, because that was the first time we seen him with his eyes open the whole time. And it was just to see her one last time before she decapitated him, and that made me so sad. And then when she kissed him, it was definitely like, dude, what?
Yeah, no. I don't think it was weird, but
Wait, hold on.
obviously,
Eren, I love you, man.
Oh, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah. And then it's funny because Ymir, or what's her name? Sorry,
Ymir.
Ymir was watching too. So I was kind of like, okay, that's interesting.
Creep.
But obviously, I'm saying, like, to me, that's what truly ended the whole Titan cycle. Like this idea, like she was finally able to let go and be free. Because then, we do get that scene later on with Mikasa and her as she's taking Eren's head back to Paradiso. Is that where it is where they live?
Paradise?
Paradise.
Yeah.
Paradiso.
Yeah, so we do get that final scene of like them almost saying like, hey, you were the one always kind of like giving me my headaches because you were always there peeking through me.
Yeah. But that was beautiful. Like I said, that the fact that they're just interconnected in that way too, because like you wouldn't think that Mikasa had that connection with Ymir, but it was like a different way of like connecting, because that's what she wanted to see, is that connection, that resolve, that the fact that Eren could be like a vehicle for all this craziness and to ultimately still be loved by someone unconditionally. It's just, it's a love story, man. I mean, it's a hate story with humanity, but then it's a love story amongst humanity too. So.
This is a dumb question because I don't remember, just because it's been a while, but was Mikasa half Ackerman and half Eldian, or was she full Ackerman? I mean, she probably was full Ackerman, but I just I don't know why I can't remember. Because then that would make sense why Ymir was able to like be able to go through her and give her these headaches and see through Mikasa's eyes. So that's why I was kind of like wondering.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
I think she was half.
Yeah,
I feel like she was half too. But then I was thinking, I'm like, well, if she inhaled the smoke being half, you would have thought she would have also turned into a Titan. That's why I don't want to think about it too hard.
But she didn't inhale it, did she?
She wasn't there anymore.
She was there. Levi and her were like on the ground, and they're like, we got to get out of here, because Falcon was already like in kid form.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if you have the Ackerman blood, it's because he just said it's like we're immune. So I just assume that any amount of blood will make you immune. So we'll go with that one.
Let's go with that one. Yes, I will not argue that.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was more beautiful to me. I think that's overall for the whole episode, that's the most beautiful thing. It was just that whole Mikasa and Eren thing. But I still think the Armin scene also won me over and also made me cry a little bit too, because that was like a whole transitioning from them being kids to like adulthood, and this whole span of the conversation. with some really crazy moments. Like the second, and this is like later, but as they're talking, and it's just the craziness is progressing from like the initial fight that they're talking about that they just had, when him kind of recapping his plan and why he's doing it, and Armin's still trying to understand that there was no other way but the way that Eren did it, and why he did it, because he had gone through all these scenarios, and this is the way, and it was just, it had to happen. And then ultimately his like goal of making his friends become heroes was crazy also, because you're like, dude, like there's other ways we could have done this, but you know, the whole killing 80% of the human population just to kind of even it out with like the Eldians, it's insane.
Yeah, dude, and the thing about it too is that I kind of liked and kind of felt like sad about is that and like Eren decided to give like everyone their memories back of the times that he did that. So I don't know, because you mentioned like with Mikasa, and then but also like with Eren, no, not Eren, with I already forgot.
Armin.
Oh yeah, Armin. That like they had these like special moments with Eren, where they had these like deep connections and stuff like that. So it's just like additional things that they kind of are left with.
No, yeah, like my favorite one was when Eren and Jean were like talking, and it's like, "Hey, bro, do you mind if I hit that after you're gone for the, maybe?" And then Eren was like, "Yeah, if you wait maybe 5 years, you can hit that." That to me was like
10 years. 10 years.
No, but then Jean was like 5 years, bro, 5 years,
Okay.
and so that to me was like that very added a lot of layers to my understanding of what happened after Eren was buried.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm just still getting emotional about the whole thing. It's over. I mean, oh wait, real quick. I did want to mention a nice little detail that I loved about, again, Armin and Eren talking, is when freaking, oh my god, Eren is telling him about how many people he killed, and then it pans out and you have just the blood puddled everywhere.
It was very Evangelion, wasn't it?
Yes, and then that's exactly what I was thinking about. And then he goes ahead and he scoops from the blood, and he just gets hair and teeth. And then like it was like almost like a Hamlet moment, and like he's just talking about like life and what life is all about, like the whole to be or not to be. And it was that moment because he, instead of a skull, and well, even though it wasn't like Hamlet who had the skull, it was Jekyll. But anyways, it's like he has like the hair and the teeth, and he's just reflecting on like humanity and all it is going to be, and he thinks this is going to be a solution of sorts. And again, it's not that it wasn't for nothing, but I think that's the saddest part about that even with him and Armin talking, it still seems like everything was for nothing almost. But it's so complex. Like,
dude, somebody that we got like a glimpse of her when Armin was detonating his Armin was detonating his colossal titan. She was giving birth, and then we see her towards the end is Historia. Any final thoughts on Historia?
Dude, I forgot about her too.
Yeah, I mean, Rainer being like, "Oh, this letter smells great." It smells just like Historia. Oh man.
No, I'll just say that honestly, like, I forgot what had happened to her because like everything happened when they had the whole like flashback with the like in the cave and all that stuff, and then after she like after the time skip, I completely had no idea what happened to her until I saw some videos that like mentioned a couple of things, and then a couple scenes where they flash back to Historia and the farmer or whatever, and then I just completely forgot everything about her.
I think
I can't say what happened to her.
Yeah, like I know with Historia, I do feel like she was the one character that I felt like everybody wanted to get to or had something for her, because there was Ymir that liked her, and then there was Reiner that has something, and I just feel like even with Eren, I know we never got like something fully saying that something happened between Historia and Eren, but I kind of like want to think in my head canon that that's Eren's baby she had, but it's not because that would have meant they would have had contact, and then he would have had contact with the founding titan, and then somebody had the blood of the king. So I don't think they ever did have intercourse between one another, but I just felt like Historia and Eren always made for me like a better pair than him and Mikasa.
Well, they did have a connection. Like he kissed her hand in that one scene where they were all giving like
Yeah,
plain loyalty to her,
and that's what
and
started the whole. Yeah,
yeah, and so I think like they're like not soulmates, but they're connected by that bond because
well,
they're
he
all
said he
connected.
didn't want to have
Pun
Historia suffer. Like that was another reason why
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did this, because he didn't want her to go through the whole cycle of like giving birth to all these babies that were gonna have the blood of the king, and then he just like he
yeah.
wanted to put a stop to that. So that was kind of crazy because he also did this whole thing so that his friends could live to be like old people. So that was that's a good way, man, to do something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't
To
know. I
have your
mean, like,
yeah.
as we're getting to the end, and we're talking about Historia, like even just the fact that she's still like living by the whole idea that obviously Paradise is gonna be still in danger, that they think that the rest of the world is gonna come after them, and she's right there leading that whole thing. Not necessarily is that, but because she knows it has to be done. Like her people
Yeah.
probably want that comfort, and she is that person. And whether she knows that it's gonna result in more fighting, it's just her role. Like that's what she is for being like the royal. But I don't know, man. Just those last scenes with his friends and going back and the conversations about like we are heroes, but then you have like freaking Annie and them being like they're gonna see us as traitors, like we literally started this whole craziness here. And it's just like it's just again such a complicated relationship that they all share, and then you kind of do wonder what is going to be the ultimate, like how they're going to be received. But yeah, they were heroes because they ultimately did stop everyone from dying.
Dude, there was okay. So
Or
I think there was
20%.
two scenes that caused me to cry, like truly cry. Like I think what started the triggers of me starting to like get my eyes felt teary was when when Eren got decapitated, Armin got his memory back. He saw Mikasa holding Eren's head, and he went
Oh
towards it, and he screamed like dude, he did like the most emotional
Mhm.
scream, like the scream that I feel like I would do if somebody that I truly love, all of a sudden like there he was, somebody holding his head, like I believed it 100%. And then I think when Mikasa, towards like the end, when Mikasa's just like chilling in the tree and having these memories of Eren, I think that's what might have triggered my tears just fully came out. And I don't know if that's like was that a meaningful moment for you guys? This like final scene where Mikasa's like, your friends are coming to visit Eren, and I wish you were
yeah.
here, and then the bird comes, and I don't know, man.
Well, that
That
was
damn bird.
Eric.
Yeah, that was
Well, that
Eren.
was, because like also Armin too, when he's on the ship on the boat, like
That
that he
bird's
drops.
everywhere.
He's
Yeah.
like, "Here's your feather. I'm still here with you, bro. Like high five." um, no, I mean, of course, that scene in the freaking tree made me teary. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that whole fucking tree, man. That was the whole thing. It's like as kids, they were playing around that tree. Later, they were reflecting on that. Like that was his favorite napping spot. And then to know that that's kind of like where she put him to rest, and just again seeing the fact that she's still not willing to let go of him, and she's not. Whether like the rest of the show happens and we see all these like aftermath, like I think that was just beautiful, man. Like it could have been done there, and I would have just like cried and been
Yeah.
sad it's over forever.
For me, it was more of the like all the Force ghosts and like with Levi finally kind of
Yeah.
like seeing his companions taking him to the afterlife. Well, I thought it was gonna be the afterlife,
Yeah.
but apparently he lives.
He lives, but I mean that's the scene that I was talking about, where like I only recognize some of the people in the front, and like dude, I do not remember most of those people. I know some of them were his like squad, Levi squad, when we first met him,
Mhm.
but I don't really remember them too much.
No,
I remember the guy they got the horse thrown at him.
I don't know, man. But I don't know. And then then we get the little like ending. I think the ending. I think that was like the biggest commotion like on TikTok and social media that I kept on seeing was like the ending and how people felt about it. I loved it because to me it just it makes everything, it makes you question that was all this for nothing because it ultimately just happens. Like, I mean, there's the two sides. There's that, right? Like the war and Parody still being on the attack. But then there's also like the nice little bit at the end with the little kid with the dog walking back into that tree. And it's kind of like a mirror in the very beginning. And it's just like you said, Carlos, earlier, like, does the cycle continue then? But did you guys notice that kid was wearing a red scarf too?
He was wearing a scarf. I did notice he was wearing a scarf.
A red scarf.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And it could have been that maybe legends or stories guy, so he was purposely looking for this tree. So that could have kind of been it,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, man, I like to think that if there is like some kind of announcement later on, like I do feel like if we get some continuation of Attack on Titan with this little boy moving forward, I feel like what we're gonna see is gonna be a lot different. But I don't know, man. I don't know what to think because I feel like Attack on Titan did so many things, and you know they did it right because there was so much. There was almost like 2,000 years of like Titan history to go along with it. Where I feel like if you just start the story off that boy, there's really not gonna be that history besides the history that we know. So I don't know what they're gonna do if they do a spin off. But I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued.
I mean, would you want one? Like,
I would, yes. I need to know what happened to that boy. I don't know. I mean, I want it for selfish reasons.
He took a nap.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what happened to him.
I want it for selfish reasons because to me it's sort of the future, but it's in this dystopian world, and I just feel like what could they invent that this kid needs to transform into what kind of thing in order to fight what kind of enemy. So I'm a little intrigued with possibilities, what they could do with that. Because I said I feel like depending on the person that finds this like let's call it the centipede, it could be that the centipede grants you will grant this kid like something different, something totally different. Where Ymir wanted a connection, hence the paths were created, and she wanted to be strong and powerful. Like this kid could just want to be strong and powerful, but in a different way. So I don't know. I just feel like you could create something totally different and unique, while still kind of staying loyal to like the history of Attack on Titan. Like
hopefully, man.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like Dr. Stone.
Hey, I'm all caught up on Dr. Stone, man. Love that show.
No, I gotta watch the new season.
I like that idea just because of the whole what we just saw in that like end credit, like the end credit scenes. The whole fact that it's been years later that Paradis already went through a war, and now it's like destroyed, and it's clearly post-apocalyptic. And then here's this kid and his dog, and you were talking about like what his intentions could be that would differ from like Ymir. Would be crazy because at this point, like, who is left, right? Like, he's wearing a red scarf. That might be a symbol of like there is still stories. Like knowing that Mikasa and her family were the ones that probably were the ones visiting Eren on that tree. Like maybe she somehow still, like you said, through legends or something. And I don't know, maybe there is like a following of Eren in the love story. And yeah, like it has so much potential. But I don't know. It makes me think of like the post-apocalyptic idea of finding old relics and being like, what was this? And it's like something dumb that we used to use for like a toothbrush, and they're like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know. Well, it's crazy.
Well, dude, if you remember like Ymir's Titan form, it was different than any Titan because it was like as tall as a Colossal Titan, almost as tall as a Colossal Titan, but it was like she looked more like the Attack Titan. Like she actually had like skin and stuff. So like if you do happen to like be able to Google it and take a look at it, you will see that Ymir's form was like completely different. So I'm just thinking like this kid could have a really cool form, and then just let him fight whatever he's fighting against, and let him be the one. And don't do this rule of like they pass away every 13 years. Like we don't need that anymore. Obviously, I think Attack on Titan had a reason why that rule got implemented, but we don't need that going forward. So don't even do that. Like we don't need for this boy to have like, okay, starting now in 13 years, you're gonna die unless you I just don't want that. I wouldn't want that anymore.
I don't know, but for now, I'll just go cry that it's over. Be sad.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about this again, man. I mean, I just feel like there's just so much to say about Attack on Titan, and maybe Ramon, I know me and you kind of did it with our role, kind of like talked about past seasons. But maybe now that it's all wrapped up, one day we'll be like, hey, we don't have nothing to talk about. Let's truly talk about Attack on Titan. And
Raul rewatches it and he remembers what's what and who's who and what happened.
He'll get to that scene in the pigs and he'll message me like, oh,
this is what you're talking about with the pigs.
He won't. He'll just see it. It's like pigs being freed. Let them
run,
out.
Pigs, run.
Yep.
Oh my
it's
God.
Like, babe.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Dude, and one last thing, man. Attack on Titan, your music was always awesome, man. Like your songs, we're all bangers, man. So yeah,
yeah,
it's another thing. So maybe one day we'll go to a mosh pit and so be Attack on Titan like songs, and we just like throwing each other.
Are we all gonna be dressed like? Are we all gonna be naked and dressed like Titans? And by naked and dressed like Titans, me like naked and jumping around.
I'll wear one of those suits and makes it look like my body's like the organs are showing on the outside.
Oh, the muscular suits and just be like a colossal titan. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll all be crying tonight, but man, it was great talking to you. It's end of an era, and I hope we do get to talk about Attack on Titan in the future again one day.
For sure.
All right, man. Talk to you guys soon. Adios. Oh.